Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Jane's Medieval Kitchen. Today we're going to be making some different types of bread. We're going to start with what's called a horse bread, which is a really rough bread that the peasants would have eaten. There's lots of different things go into this that you wouldn't normally think to put in bread. So we're going to start by making this one. So we're going to start by making what I've done first. Actually, overnight I've soaked some split peas. So they've been soaking for 12 or so hours. So they're all plumped up. So they're ready. So we're going to start with this flour here. So can you tip that in for me, please?
All of it.
All of it. You can pour it all straight in. Yeah, give it a bowl of shake. That's it. Right. Okay. So we're going to start with our flour. Now this is just this would be a really rough wholemeal flour. So there'd be husks in there, and it would just all be ground up, and it would be really, really rough. So I've just used a wholemeal flour for today. Now to that we're going to add some pea flour. So this is just some ground peas, dried peas just ground up. So we're going to add that in. Just gently stir that over for a minute, please. Okay. Careful. Right, can I just pour the spoon? Let's just get that all mixed in a little bit. Okay, the next thing we're going to add is our sourdough starter. So that's this one here. Can you pour that one in for me, please?
All of it.
All of it. Pour all that in. Put it in the middle. Right in the middle. It's really, really thick, that is. You might need a spoon.
And gluey.
And gluey. It is very gloopy, yes. Okay, yeah. Start mixing it right now. What I would like to do is I'd like you to start pouring the water in for me, please, Lexi. This is warm water. Now the warm water will help the yeast work in the sourdough. So we're just mixing it in. Right, just pour a little bit in at a time. That's it. Yeah, a little bit more. Now this is going to be quite a wet dough that we're going to make here today, because once we've added the peas in, that will soak up some of the moisture. A little bit more in there. That's okay. Just put it in there. A bit more. Keep going. That's it. Lovely. Now.
I don't need to pour it in.
Yeah, I think we're going to need all of what's in there. So put some more in. Actually, before you do that, can you put some salt in? Now, I'm adding salt, but if it was available, if they could get hold of it, they'd have used dried seaweed that they'd have ground up, because I've obviously given them the salty taste that they need. If they didn't have salt, or if they couldn't afford salt, then they'd have had it without. So it'd been very, very bland bread. So we just need a couple of teaspoons of salt. We need about 3 of those. Sprinkle it over the top for me. That's it. Thank you.
And
some more water in.
two.
Now this is going to make quite a large loaf. Is that lovely? Now I'm going to go to using my hands now. You can use your hands in just a minute. I want you to finish pouring the water in for me first.
Bit more.
Let me just get this going a little bit.
Now?
Yeah, a little bit more in. That's it. Whoa. That's plenty. That's it. That's probably enough now. Yeah, that's making a nice wet mixture we've got there. That's it. We don't need any more. That's fine. Yep, you can do this in just a minute. Let's just get it going. Let me just get all the bread and all the flour. Yeah, I'm going to put it into that, and then you can knead it for me while I talk about the next thing.
Oh, I know how to knead it.
You know how to knead it. That's good.
Quickly show me,
I will show you. So we're just going to knead this now for a few minutes, just to make sure everything's mixed in until it gives a nice. It's quite a sticky dough still. So what we're going to do is we're going to put it into the trug. Yeah.
Did you have to do that?
Right.
And then grab that?
I'm going to sprinkle some flour in. Not flowers. With your hands. Bring a bit of flour over your hands as well. So we start with do this. We push it down and just turn it over like that. Just keep doing that for me. Okay, so I'm going to leave you to do that. Right, just put the bowl under there for a minute. Now, the next thing I'm going to show you how to do is to make the sourdough starter. Now, this is really, really simple thing to do. So let me just grab the ingredients. So here we go. What we've got here is 50 grams of flour. So I'm just going to tip that in first.
I think I might need a bit more flour because it's getting sticky.
If it's getting sticky, just put your hands in there and put a little bit. And 50 mils of water. Now, what we're going to do is we're just going to mix this in together. And as Lexi rightly said, it does create a very gloopy sort of mixture. Now, what we need to do with this, we need to leave it somewhere where it's going to pick up some natural yeast from the air. Now, what I do is I tend to leave mine in an open jar on the windowsill. I have a little drop, splash more water in there. So leave it for a day or so on the windowsill with a lid half on. Don't leave the lid completely off because you'll get everything else in there as well. But you just leave the lid half off and that will pick up some yeast from the air and that will start to ferment. Now, what you then do is every day for about 5 days, you add an extra 50 grams of flour and 50 mils of water. Give it a stir up, mix all the new stuff, make sure it's mixed through your mixture completely. So there we go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer this to a smaller pot now. Don't keep going because you've got a lot of kneading to do. So we're just going to pour that into that pot there. And I just leave that on the windowsill, as I say, partially covered for a day. And then when you add the next lot, cover it in. Now I'll show you what I use. Excuse the modern jar, but this is the way I use. This is how I do mine. So that jar will sit on the windowsill for a day or half a day, just to pick up the natural yeast from the air. Okay. Now this one's been going for a few days, so this is because I used it in the bread. So this is fermenting nicely now. It's got lots of bubbles in it. Now, if you find that there's water separates out on the top, don't worry. Give it another good stir, add a little bit of flour, and then leave it for 24 hours. You can carry on using it. You can carry on working with it for your 5 days. Now, once you get to use it, use about 200 grams for your loaf of bread. That was about 1.5 pounds of flour that I'm using in this one. So, so 200 grams to 1.5 pounds of flour, 750 grams of flour roughly. There are very few recipes written down for peasants type bread. There's hints in literature about what went into them, but there are no exact recipes for peasants bread because it was just passed on. Like we're doing here, I would tell Lexi how to make the bread. She would then take over and make the bread. So that's how it works. So now I'd leave that, say, on the windowsill for a day, and then I just pop the lid on top so the air can still get in. We're not sealing the jar. We want that yeast to still working with the air. So I'm just going to pop this back out of the way for now. Now the next thing we're going to add to the horse bread is our peas, our dried peas that we've been soaking. I'm just going to get a chopping board. I'm just going to chop these up a little bit. Get them onto there. Now I've dried these as best I can, so there's don't add any more flour, please. Let's see. We don't want too much moisture in there. So I'm just going to roughly chop these up a little bit. I don't want to make them into a mush because this is going to add substance to the bread. This is what fills you up. This is the bit that will keep the peasants going through the day. Now, before I do that, actually, I'm just going to empty the oven out and put some rolls in the oven.
Yeah.
taken all the ash out of the oven, all of what's been burning. It's been alight for about an hour and a half. So I'm just going to wipe round inside the oven with a bucket cloth. Because we really don't want bits of charcoal and ash on the bottom of our bread to clean it up with it. So there you go, that's cleaned our oven out now nicely. So I've got these rolls that I prepared earlier. So what we're going to do is we're going to compare a quite high status bread with the peasant's bread. So I'm just going to pop these in the oven. These should take about 10 minutes to cook in here. So we're just going to pop the door on in there and just pop the lid on. That will help keep the heat in. Just use my hands. Just keep going, Lexi. I'm going to add the peas in just a minute. I'm just going to finish chopping these up a little bit more. So they don't need to be too finely chopped, but just so they're broken down a little bit. Okay, you can leave that now for just a minute. Now what I'm going to do is just, this is a very, very tough bread, so we're just going to spread that out in there, and I'm just going to put a handful in here and just start kneading that in. So we're just going to knead all this into our bread. It's sticky again now. I don't want to add more flour because I don't want it to be too dry. Put that out a bit more, and we're going to put some more peas in there. Put the last of those in there, I think. And now we're just going to knead this. Okay, it's a bit wet. Wow. Very sticky mixture. So yes, this is the peasant's loaf. This is called horse bread, and they did used to feed it to the horses. That's why it got the name horse bread. But then the peasants realised that actually it was bearable to eat and filled them up nicely. So it's all the rough stuff that you'd get after the fine flour, and then the different levels of flour would have been sifted through, and this would be what would be left at the end. It was the really rough stuff. It would be the cheapest flour that you could buy. Just going to scrape what's left because we don't want to waste any. This might be all we get to eat for a while, so I don't want to waste any. Now that's, as you can see, that's all nicely mixed in. It's all sort of peppered with the split peas there. So just get rid of that. Now I've got the board here that I've got my other bread rolls on. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sprinkle some flour on the board. This will just be used for just a board for just proving the bread. So we're just going to leave that there. Now that bread, because it's made with sourdough, is going to take around about 4 hours to rise. So what we'll do is we'll put a picture on later so you can have a look at what it looks like. This particular loaf looks like finished. So I'm just going to put this back over here out of the way for just a minute. So the next bread that we're going to make now is a higher status bread. It's made with a finer flour. So we're going to start Let me just move some of these over out the way and bring our next lot of ingredients in. There's a lot more ingredients going into this, a lot nicer ingredients going into this one as well. It's going to be a really tasty bread. So, with some more warm water. Now we're using warm water because that's going to help the yeast to rise. So for this one, we're going to actually start by putting some water in to the bottom of the bowl. So we're putting our warm water in first, and then we're going to add our yeast. Now this is fresh yeast. It's just not dried. It's just nice fresh yeast. It's got a beautiful smell. Now they'd use different types of yeast. Obviously the sourdough that we've already spoken about. The other thing they would use is something called barm. B-A-R-M-E. Now this came from brewers. This was like a brewer's yeast, and it would be once they'd started the brewing the beer, the scum would be taken off the top, and then that'd be used to flavour the bread. Now to this, to help the yeast to work, we're going to add some honey. So I'm going to add our honey. Now that's a sweetness that will help the yeast to work and also give the bread that nice, slightly sweet taste. So just mix those in there. Okay, so to this then we're going to add some salt. Let's influx in salt, please. Now we have 8 ounces of barley flour on the way around. 8 ounces of barley flour here. So we're making a nice white loaf. Start mixing that in.
Do you fill this up?
Yeah. Okay, so as that's working there, mixing that in. Now I'm going to add some more. Yeah, I need 2 of those, please. Oops. So add me 1 little bit more. That's it. Lovely. I can really smell the yeast working with the warm water already. So that's that. Working that flour in. Now I'm going to add our nice white flour here as well. This is the finely milled, finely sieved flour. Okay, so we're going to add that now. Could you? I need some water, and what the other thing we're going to add to this is we're going to add some ale. So if you can start pouring that ale in for me, the whole lot can go in. Just do a little bit, and then that's it. Mix that through. Lovely. Okay, that's good. Well done. So that's the first one. I will need some more water as well. Yeah, and then we're going to. Oh, now I'm really getting that smell of the yeast and the beer going into this one. Put some more water. Give me some more in there, just a little bit at a time now, because this one, we don't want this one to be too wet. A little bit more than that. A little bit more.
Why don't you mix it while I'm pouring it in?
Okay, keep pouring, keep pouring. That'll do. That's it. That's about right. Maybe a little bit more. I'm going to do this by hand now. Yeah.
It's a shame you can't smell it because it smells very nice here.
Then I'm just going to bring this all together. Could you get me the other trug, please? It's over there under the table. Just bringing this all together now.
Here's the trug.
I think we've probably got enough water. Let's move that one out of the way. That one out the way. Right, if you can sprinkle some flour into the bottom for me. Now, there's no exact measurements for the water really for these bread doughs. You have to use it by feel. Now, this is a little bit drier mixture. Which I don't think it's. No, I think that's probably around about right now. So what I'm just going to do is going to tip this into the trug so it'll make it easier. A little bit just sprinkled up the top there. That's lovely. Right. Just get the last of this out of here. I'll just start kneading it for a minute and then you can take over.
I can make it first then.
So we're going to need a little bit more water in there. It's just a little bit dry. I'm just going to tip it into the middle of the mixture, into the middle of the dough there. And that will just mix it in a bit easier. That's it. That's better. Yeah, that's good.
Should I fill it?
It should be sort of spongy.
So it's kind of like a sponge cake.
Well, no, it's bread, but it's that sort of, yeah. Right, there we go. Do you want to carry on doing that one?
I can't do it.
Okay, don't worry. Right, just going to wash my hands.
I need a bit of flour on my hands.
Okay, now before we do anything else, I'm just going to check the bread in the oven to see if that's ready. Now, some of these rolls are cooked, some are not quite cooked.
Oh, my turn.
Yeah, let's just let them cool down for a moment. I'm just going to put the rest of those rolls in the oven. The door back on. Okay, so there we have our roll. Now they're a little bit burnt on the bottom because obviously the fire has come off the bottom of the oven. So some of them do get a bit burnt. They're not all burnt. Some of them are quite, actually not too bad. That one's very burnt, look. So what would happen now is they'd cut the bottom crust off. The bottom crust would be used as a plate. That's right, Lexi, or a trencher. And then the stew would be added to that. The top half, the upper crust, would then go to the Lord's table. So this is the nice bread that we're making here. So Lexi's giving this a good knead. Gotta go. Now this needs kneading for around about 10 minutes. So just we want to really mix all those flavours. Honey was in there. You can have honey. So we're going to keep going that for about 10 more minutes. I'll leave that there just for a moment. So here we have our nice bread. You can see it's nice light colour. And earlier, I actually made one of the loaf of horse bread. So as you can see, this is a lot darker. It's quite flat. It doesn't look very appetizing, but we're going to slice it up and we're going to have a taste. Lex is going to have a taste.
Right, honey.
Okay, so I'm just going to take a slice off the side of this.
Is it hot?
It's warm. It was cooked came out of the oven about an hour ago, so it's still a little bit warm. Actually, it doesn't look too bad at all. It's quite a dense bread. It's very dense. Put some butter on there. Right. Put some butter on this bread here. So Lexi's try. There we go. You give that a try, Lexi.
Mom's got something on it.
Okay. While she's just sorting out my hands, I'm just going to cut one of these in half. Let's see if we can find one of the nice ones that's not got burnt on the bottom.
That one has got a teeny bit.
Now these are a little bit doughy in the middle. They probably could have done with a little bit longer in the oven. Not too bad at all. Beautiful, beautiful yeast. I've used the exact same recipe as we've just made here. So that smells really good, doesn't it? So I'm just going to put a little bit of butter on here as well. That's going to melt in straight away. So right, Lexi, first of all, I'd like you to try that one. Now that's the horse bread, peasant's bread. How does that taste?
I like it.
You don't like it? Okay. Let me just have a try. Right, now I'd like you to try this one.
That one's just normal bread that I've had.
This is made with ale and honey. That's
Honey!
honey.
I love
Okay,
honey.
that's
so-
hot, so take a bite. Okay, that tastes a little bit. You can taste that it's made with the rough flour. You can taste that it's made with not the best ingredients. Whereas this one is going to be nice and light bread. Right?
Ah, that's hot.
Too hot. Okay. Let's cut your small pieces. Perhaps I'd better taste this one then. The difference is huge. It is absolutely huge. Really tasty bread. A lot lighter. It's got that salty taste. It's got the sweet taste of the honey in there, and it just looks so much nicer. So there we go. That's our two very different breads.
Not good.
That's good, is it? So this is a peasant's bread. You can see there it's quite a dense bread with all the bits and pieces in. So nowadays this would possibly be called an artisan bread, but there you go. So there we go. That's the two different types of bread that we made today. So you've got the sourdough starter, you've got your balm, which comes from the brewer's yeast, and then our two different types of bread. So on Wednesday, if you look up, we're going to be doing a beef recipe, a gruel recipe. So that's something a little bit different. So join us on Wednesday. And also on the August bank holiday at the end of August, for the Friday, Saturday, Sunday and Monday, we will be at Hurstmonceux Castle. So I will be doing demonstrations every day during those 4 days, over those 4 days. So if you are available, please come and see us and say hello. Thank you for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.
Bye.